Chosen one, you are not here by accident. It's heaven knocking on your heart. Picture an ordinary day. You're driving down a familiar road. The traffic light turns red. The radio hums softly. And out of habit, you tap YouTube. You're not searching for answers. You're just filling the silence. And yet, somehow, this message finds you. Nothing about your morning suggested that today would be different. The bills are still there. The calendar is still full. Your worries didn't disappear when you turned the key in the ignition. But now, something feels interrupted. Not in a loud way, in a quiet, unsettling way. As if the normal rhythm of your life has been paused for a reason. This is what a holy interruption feels like. When heaven brushes against the ordinary. When the unseen steps into a moment that looks like every other moment before it. You may not have words for it, but you feel it. A gentle tension in your chest, a sense that your life is meant for more than surviving, more than repeating the same days, more than carrying the same unspoken weight. Have you ever felt called towards something bigger, without knowing where that pull came from or where it might lead? Moses felt that once. He was walking through the desert, mind on routine, when he noticed a bush burning without being consumed. He wasn't looking for God that day, but God was looking for him, and everything changed because Moses stopped, turned aside, and listened. Maybe this is your burning bush moment. Not dramatic, not obvious, but intentional. A quiet invitation asking you to slow down. Pay attention and recognize that this interruption carries purpose. Today, something has shifted not in what you see, but in what heaven is doing. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet unrest you can't explain. Life looks normal from the outside. You still show up for work. You still go through your routine. No one would guess anything's changed. But something deep within you feels different. Like something is moving beneath the surface. A man in his 50s once told me, "I can't explain it. Nothing's wrong, but I feel like the season I've been in is closing. I don't know what's next, but I know I can't stay where I've been." That's how a divine shift feels. It rarely announces itself with fireworks. It's more like a quiet stirring in your spirit. A sense that heaven is rearranging things not to hurt you, but to move you. And here's what you need to know. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not happening. Most of what God does starts in the unseen. The spiritual realm moves first, then the physical catches up. In Daniel chapter 10, the prophet had been praying and fasting for 21 days. Nothing seemed to happen. No answer. No breakthrough. But when the angel finally appeared, he said, "From the first day you set your heart to understand, your words were heard, and I have come because of them." That's the pattern. God responds the moment faith is released, but the shift often begins where we can't see it. So if you've been feeling that holy discomfort, don't run from it. It may not be confusion. It may be confirmation. Confirmation that something is shifting behind the scenes. Confirmation that God has already started moving on your behalf. He's not ignoring your prayers. He's working in places your eyes can't reach yet. Keep watching. Keep trusting. Something has already shifted. You're not waiting on God. He's already stepping into your story. Life doesn't stop just because your soul is tired. The bills still come. The body still aches. The inbox keeps filling, and the world keeps moving. You smile when people ask how you're doing, but inside, you're carrying a quiet heaviness, stress, uncertainty, maybe even fear. You pray, but the answer hasn't come. You try to stay strong, but part of you wonders if God even hears you. And if He does, why hasn't He stepped in yet? You're not alone in feeling that way. Martha and Mary felt it too. Their brother Lazarus was sick, and they sent word to Jesus. They believed He would come immediately, but He didn't. By the time Jesus showed up, Lazarus had already died. Martha ran to meet Him and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." She wasn't angry, she was hurt. She knew He had the power to change everything, but it felt like He came too late. But Jesus didn't come to comfort. He came to resurrect. Sometimes God doesn't show up early because He's preparing something greater than you imagined. He waits until your strength runs out so you'll know the miracle didn't come from you, it came from Him. That's why Philippians 4:19 still speaks today. God will supply all your needs from the riches of His glory, not from what you can earn, not from what others give, but from His glory, His timing, His purpose, His endless supply. I know a man who lost his job unexpectedly. No backup plan, no savings. But in the weeks that followed, people from his small church began showing up. One covered his groceries, another paid a bill. Someone else offered work. He told me, "God didn't drop money from the sky, but He did surround me with His provision." So no, you're not waiting on God. He's already moving. You may not see the full picture yet, but He's stepping into your timeline with provision, with purpose, and with the kind of peace that doesn't come from knowing the plan, but from knowing the One who holds it. If God wrote the vision, He's already planned the funding. One of the biggest reasons we hesitate to obey God is the question, but do I have enough money, enough time, enough energy, enough confidence? We measure the call of God against the resources we can see. And if we come up short, we pull back. But here's the truth. God never asks you to fund what He authored. When God gave Noah the command to build the ark, He didn't include a budget breakdown, no list of donors, no financial strategy, just a vision, a direction, and the assurance that it came from heaven. Noah didn't need to figure out where the resources would come from. He just needed to obey. When Elijah sat beside the brook in a drought, God sent ravens to bring him food. Think about that. Nature itself was instructed to provide. Elijah didn't hustle for provision. He positioned himself where God told him to be. And heaven took care of the rest. Provision always follows obedience. There's a woman I know, a single mom raising 2 kids on her own. She felt led to start a Bible study in her apartment complex. Nothing fancy. Just coffee, chairs, and conversation about the Word. But she was scared. Who's going to watch my kids? Where will I find the time? What if no one comes, and behind all that, how can I afford this? But she said yes anyway. And you know what happened? A neighbor offered to babysit. Someone else brought snacks. The building manager gave her the community room for free. She didn't make it happen. She just moved forward, and the funding met her there. If God is calling you to something, He already sees what you need. He's not waiting for you to figure it out. He's waiting for your yes. Stop trying to be the source. You were never meant to be. You're the vessel, not the bank. If God wrote the vision on your heart, trust that He's already prepared the way, the resources, the people, the grace. It's all in motion. You just need to take the next step in faith, knowing He funds what He authors. Every single time. Delay is not denial. It's a setup for something greater. It's hard to keep hoping when nothing seems to be happening. You pray, you wait, you believe. But days turn into weeks, then months, and still no answer. That kind of silence can start to feel like rejection. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe the lie that maybe the promise wasn't real after all. But what if the delay isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? Think about Abraham and Sarah. God promised them a child, not just any child, but a son tied to nations, legacy, and blessing. But that promise didn't arrive in a year, or even 5. It took 25 years. 25 years of waiting, wondering, questioning. Hope must have felt like a burden at times. But God wasn't late. He was building something deeper in them and around them, so the promise could arrive at exactly the right time. I know someone who was rejected from the same job 3 times. Each time, he thought, maybe this just isn't for me. But on the 4th try, not only was he hired, he was asked to lead the very department that had once turned him down. The delay wasn't denial, it was alignment. That's the danger of delay. It breeds self-doubt, and in the quiet, the enemy whispers. Maybe you misunderstood God. Maybe you're not called. Maybe you're not enough. But that's a lie. God has not changed His mind about you. The vision still stands. The promise still holds. He's not stalling. He's setting the stage. You weren't being delayed. You were being developed. Sometimes survival seasons don't look wholly just hard. Long days, short answers. You do what you can to get through. And when it finally lifts, you wonder, what was that for? But heaven wastes nothing. David was anointed to be king as a teen. Oil poured over his head. A prophet declared him chosen. And then he went back to the field. No crown, no throne, just sheep, quiet, and more waiting. But that waiting wasn't punishment, it was preparation. David had to learn to protect what no one applauded, to lead in silence, to stay faithful with no audience. That may have been your last season, too. I met a man who was unemployed for 2 years. At first, he panicked. Then, he surrendered. He stopped striving and started listening. He walked, prayed, bonded with his kids, and just when he stopped chasing, the right job opened, one that used every skill he'd built in the quiet. He said, if it had come sooner, I would have ruined it. But when it came, I was steady. That's what God does. He prepares you in private so when the promise comes, you're ready to carry it well. That's the power of preparation. What feels like a pause might be heaven building muscle you'll need later: discipline, compassion, discernment, humility. You haven't been forgotten. You've been getting ready, if your last season felt like survival. Hear this: your next one carries mission. You won't walk into it worn out, but wiser, stronger, ready. Heaven's not just calling you forward, heaven's preparing you for more. God changes the inside before he promotes the outside. You may be looking for outward signs: money, opportunity, breakthrough. But what if the first sign God is moving is inside you before things shift around you? They shift within you. The anxiety doesn't grip you like it used to. The fear quiets. Peace starts to rise, not because life is fixed, but because your spirit is finally still. That's not a weakness. That's transformation. A woman in a prayer group once said, "I still don't have the money I need. Nothing's changed on paper, but I've stopped losing sleep." Her voice was calm, real. She wasn't ignoring her situation. She was anchored in something deeper. That's when you know something holy is happening. Breakthrough isn't always a door flying open. Sometimes it's becoming someone who doesn't fall apart when life does. Someone who chooses trust in uncertainty, who walks in peace under pressure. That's not natural, that's spiritual. That's the Holy Spirit, bringing order to inner chaos. So if you felt more peace even without external change, don't dismiss it, celebrate it. That's evidence, that's proof you're not who you were. The shift began in your spirit. And once God finishes the inner work, the outer will follow. The door will open. The answer will come. But it's coming to someone prepared from the inside out. That's the real miracle. He's not just sending help, he's making you ready to carry it. Sometimes we picture God as distant, powerful, but far away, like he blesses from a distance and leaves us to figure it out alone. But that's not who he is. He doesn't just sponsor your purpose. He shares it. He walks with you through the process. There's a woman who felt led to start a Bible study in her living room. No stage, no spotlight, just a few chairs and a prayer that someone would come. But fear whispered, "What if no one shows up? What if you're not enough?" Still, she said yes. Week 1, 2 people came. Week 2, 5, then 8. No ads, no pressure. Just obedience, and God filled the room. That's what partnering with God looks like. You move, he moves. You show up, he provides. Maybe you're not called to lead thousands. Maybe your yes is something quiet and close. That doesn't make it small, just specific. So here's one action. Write down the one thing you feel God nudging you to do. Even if the timing feels off, name it, trust it. Because God won't just fund the vision, he'll walk it with you. And remember, you're not just giving up, you're trading up. Surrender isn't weakness, it's trust. It's handing over something good, believing God has something better. Every time you let go in faith, heaven offers something greater. There was a man offered a big promotion, great pay, high status, everything he thought he wanted. But when he prayed, he had no peace, so he said no. At first, he questioned it, but 2 months later, a new opportunity opened closer to home. in a field he felt called to. Less flashy, more fulfilling, he said, "If I hadn't let go, I would have missed what God really had for me." That's the divine exchange. Trust the trade. Even the quietest yes can open the loudest doors. God never asks you to surrender just to leave you empty. He invites you to trade what's temporary for what lasts. What's pressured for what's peaceful. What's convenient for what's truly called. So if you're being asked to release something, don't see it as a loss, see it as a trade. Your peace is worth more. Your purpose is worth more. God isn't taking from you, He's making room for better. Trust the exchange. It's never just letting go. It's always stepping in. Heaven has already moved. Now it's your turn. Everything you've heard today isn't just encouragement. It's preparation. God has been aligning things in the unseen. And now, He's inviting you to respond. You're not where you started. You've grown, you've endured, you've heard His voice in the silence, you've surrendered, and now you're standing at the edge of something new. This next step, it doesn't require perfect clarity, just complete trust. Because heaven protects what heaven promotes. If God has called you forward, He'll cover you as you go. He equips those He sends with peace, with direction, with grace for the road ahead. So step forward, not with fear, not with pressure, but with quiet confidence, knowing you're not alone. This isn't the end. It's a beginning. Let your heart be steady. Let your faith speak louder than your fear. Let your yes be full, and as you go, carry this truth: you are blessed. Not because of who you are, but because of who you are.